Ladies and gentlemen, today I speak to you with conviction and clarity about a truth that is transforming households, workplaces, and communities. Smart women follow principles that lead to strength, stability, and significance. This is not a message of opinion. It is a message built on timeless wisdom, on values tested through generations, and on the undeniable power that comes when a woman walks in purpose and wisdom. So let us lean in together as I share with you 7 rules that every smart woman follows, not because they are trendy, but because they are true. A smart woman knows her worth. This is not just a catchy phrase or a slogan to be worn on a t-shirt. It is a deep internal awareness that influences every decision, every relationship, and every step forward. When a woman knows her worth, it changes how she carries herself, how she speaks, how she allows others to treat her, and most importantly, how she treats herself. You see, the world is loud with voices that try to define you. It wants to tell you that your worth is based on how you look, how many followers you have, how desirable you appear, or how successful you seem to be. But a smart woman rejects that lie. She knows her value doesn't come from outward things. It comes from something far deeper. Her worth was established long before anyone ever complimented her, ignored her, praised her, or rejected her. Knowing your worth means you don't shrink yourself to fit in spaces that are too small for your soul. You don't settle for relationships that drain you, jobs that diminish you, or friendships that belittle you. You no longer apologize for having standards, for protecting your peace, or for choosing yourself. A woman who knows her worth walks differently. She doesn't beg for attention, she commands respect. Not through arrogance, but through quiet confidence. And that confidence is not about being the loudest in the room. It's not about proving yourself every day. It's about being anchored, so that even when storms come, you're not tossed around by every wave of criticism or every gust of comparison. Because here's the truth. When a woman does not know her worth, she becomes vulnerable to manipulation. She starts saying yes when she should say no. She starts chasing people who treat her like she's optional. She starts losing pieces of herself trying to earn love, when love should never have to be earned. A smart woman understands that her worth is not a currency to be traded, it's a truth to be embraced. She does not compete with others for validation. She does not tear other women down to feel taller. She builds, she uplifts, she celebrates. Because her confidence is not built on comparison, but on clarity. Clarity about who she is and what she brings to the table. When you know your worth, you stop giving people discounts who can't afford your presence. You no longer waste your time proving your value to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You begin to walk in alignment with who you were created to be. That's when you stop being impressed by superficial things and start craving substance. That's when your conversations change. Your goals change, your relationships shift, not because you're better than others, but because you now understand what you deserve. And you're no longer afraid to wait for it. A smart woman also knows that worth is not tied to perfection. She gives herself grace. She knows she can be a work in progress and still be worthy of love, respect, and opportunity. She doesn't disqualify herself because of her past. She doesn't allow shame to speak louder than her future. She knows that her journey may be messy, but her value has never changed, not once. And even when life gets heavy, even when she faces rejection, betrayal, or failure, she remembers that none of these things can subtract from her value. Because her worth is not determined by what happens to her. It is determined by the strength that rises within her. Well, that kind of knowing cannot be taken away. It can only be ignored or embraced. So yes, a smart woman knows her worth. And in knowing it, she becomes unstoppable. Not because she has it all together, but because she finally understands she doesn't need the world's permission to stand tall, speak up, and take up space. She is no longer waiting to be chosen, because she has already chosen herself. And that is where true power begins. A smart woman guards her mind. She understands that the mind is the command center of her life. What she allows to enter it, what she listens to, what she watches, what she entertains, eventually becomes the substance of her thoughts, her beliefs, and ultimately her behavior. She knows that protecting her mind isn't just a suggestion, it's a necessity. Because every action begins with a thought, and every thought is either building her future or quietly tearing it. In a world filled with noise, Constant updates, curated highlight reels, toxic narratives, and empty distractions. A smart woman has learned how to filter what deserves her attention. She knows that not everything that is loud is true, and not everything that is trending is healthy. While others may scroll endlessly and absorb negativity without realizing it, she is intentional about her input because she knows it determines her output. She doesn't allow every voice a seat at the table of her mind. She's selective, discerning, and unapologetically protective of her mental space. She's not just protecting her mind from negativity. She's guarding it from deception. Because lies don't always come in the form of direct attacks. Sometimes they slip in subtly, disguised as comparison, disguised as self-doubt, disguised as a just entertainment. But a smart woman has developed the skill of recognizing what doesn't belong. She doesn't entertain thoughts that tell her she's not enough. She doesn't feed fears that paralyze her. She doesn't replay the insults or the doubts that others tried to plant in her soul. She uproots them before they take hold. She replaces them with truth, with affirmations that restore her peace, with reminders of her purpose, with wisdom that nourishes her mind, not poisons it. She understands that comparison is a thief, and it rarely steals in silence. It whispers through images, captions, and highlight reels, making others' lives look shinier, easier, more fulfilled. But a smart woman silences that noise. She doesn't let social media become a measuring stick for her worth. She understands that no one posts their full reality. She values authenticity over appearances and mental clarity over digital approval. She knows when to disconnect from the world so she can reconnect with herself. Guarding her mind also means she chooses her conversations carefully. She doesn't gossip, doesn't dwell in circles that glorify drama or breed jealousy. She doesn't stay in environments where negativity is normal and complaining is a culture. She thrives in spaces where ideas flow, encouragement is offered, and solutions are born. Because she knows her mind will adapt to whatever it's most exposed to. So she chooses exposure that empowers her. She reads what uplifts her, listens to what stretches her, engages with voices that challenge her to grow, not shrink. Even in solitude, a smart woman is mindful of her thoughts. She knows that silence can be sacred if you learn how to master it. She takes moments to reflect, to process, to breathe. She doesn't fear stillness because she's learned how to befriend her own thoughts. And when those thoughts become heavy, when anxiety knocks or fear creeps in, she doesn't panic. She pauses. She speaks truth to herself. She prays. She grounds herself in what's real and eternal, not what's fleeting and circumstantial. Guarding her mind is not about living in denial or avoiding reality. It's about choosing what to dwell on. It's about learning that peace is not found in perfect circumstances, but in a protected perspective. A smart woman trains her mind to focus on what is good, what is right, and what is hopeful. She practices gratitude not as a trend, but as a mental discipline, She sees challenges not as dead ends, but as doorways to growth. Because her mind has been trained to look for purpose even in pain. She knows the war for her future will often be fought in the arena of her thoughts. So she prepares herself daily. She doesn't wait for a breakdown to start building mental strength. She invests in her emotional and psychological resilience like others invest in status or style. Because she understands this simple but profound truth, the most beautiful face, the most admired life, the most praised accomplishments, none of them will last without a sound, steady, guarded mind. And so every day, she makes the quiet, powerful decision to protect her peace, to guard her focus, and to filter her thoughts, not just for herself, but for the generations that will look up to her. Because a smart woman doesn't just protect her mind for survival. She protects it for legacy. A smart woman sets boundaries. She understands that boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but gates to protect what's within. She knows that love, respect, and peace cannot thrive in a life without clear limits. For too long, many women have been taught that saying yes to everyone is a virtue, that being available at all times is a sign of goodness, and that sacrificing your own well-being is somehow noble. But a smart woman learns that without boundaries, burnout is inevitable, bitterness grows quietly, and resentment becomes a silent passenger in relationships. She does not set boundaries out of anger or pride, but from a place of clarity. She has taken the time to understand what drains her and what fuels her, who lifts her and who constantly takes from her. She listens to her own emotional cues, the frustration that follows overcommitting, the exhaustion that trails behind people-pleasing, the guilt that creeps in when she says no, but still knows it was the right decision. Through experience and wisdom, she realizes that boundaries are not a form of selfishness. They are a form of self-respect. When she draws a line, it's not a punishment to others, it's a promise to herself. Smart woman understands that she cannot be everything to everyone. She recognizes that if she stretches herself too thin, she loses the very strength that makes her valuable in the first place. She cannot pour from an empty cup, and so she learns the importance of rest, of solitude, of time to reflect and recharge. Oh, she gives from a full heart, but she never allows others to take advantage of her generosity. She's kind, but not naive. She's giving, but not a doormat. She serves from love, not from obligation. Boundaries also shape how she handles relationships. She doesn't entertain people who only show up when it benefits them. She does not confuse connection with closeness. Just because someone has history with her doesn't mean they deserve a permanent place in her present. She knows when to create space from toxic patterns and unhealthy behaviors. She doesn't cling to relationships that require her to constantly sacrifice her peace. She knows the difference between compromise and self-betrayal. In professional spaces, she also draws lines. She does not say yes to every project, every task, or every demand just to prove her worth. She understands that overworking is not a badge of honor. It's often a red flag of imbalance. She communicates her limits with grace and firmness. She advocates for herself, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness of her capacity. She values her time and expects others to value it as well. She understands that boundaries at work are just as essential as boundaries at home. What sets a smart woman apart is how she communicates her boundaries. She doesn't need to be harsh or defensive. Her no is clear, not cruel. Her yes is intentional, not reluctant. She doesn't owe long explanations for her decisions. She knows that a no is a complete sentence and that it's okay if others don't understand her choices. What matters most is that she honors her truth. And in doing so, she invites others to respect it too. She also recognizes that setting boundaries may disappoint some people. There will be those who are used to her overextending, overgiving, and overcompensating. But she no longer lets guilt drive her decisions. She's not here to make everyone comfortable. She's here to live in alignment with who she is. And that often means letting go of the fear of being misunderstood. She would rather be misjudged for standing in her truth than be praised for abandoning it. Shad or abandoning it. A smart woman understands that boundaries are not just about saying no, they're also about saying yes to the right things. Yes to peace. Yes to health. Yes to health. Yes to purpose. Yes to authenticity. She doesn't set boundaries to keep her life small. She sets them so that her life can flourish in the right direction. By protecting her energy, time, and heart, she creates space for what truly matters. Even in her inner life, she sets boundaries. She watches how she talks to herself, how much she tolerates negative self-dialogue, how long she allows fear to take the driver's seat. She doesn't just protect herself from others, she protects herself from the parts of her own mind that would keep her stuck. That too is wisdom. In every season, every relationship, in every environment, a smart woman remembers that she teaches people how to treat her by what she allows, what she stops, and what she reinforces. Boundaries aren't about control. They're about clarity. They help her stay rooted, stay focused, and stay free.